The story begins with a serene image, a single cup on a low table in a pagoda garden under the moonlight. Two figures are present, an elder, Gwi Ryongja, his face showing a hint of disappointment, and a younger man with a scar on his cheek, his gaze guarded. A close-up of the elder's face follows, speaking about when they first met they were both young. With a grim face of the elder seeing in the eyes of another person, his face with a scar on his face. The liquid being poured, accompanied by the text, "I guess that was 40 years ago, when I first met this man," leading to the plea, "Please use the great regression technique to send me back to the past." A closer view of a younger man with dark hair and piercing eyes in the foreground, while the figure we've seen earlier stands in a bright doorway in the background. The elder's face in shock reveals his surprise at the request. The two figures are then shown standing further apart within a traditional building, with the text, "The Great Regression Technique." Context is provided, one of the great achievements of the GWI family, a technique that has been researched for centuries and passed down, a technique that was close to impossible to use. The elder looks at a scroll with regret, saying, "I could have completed it. However, I had no choice but to give it up." Hands clutching crumpled papers upon open books reveal the 5 materials needed to complete the technique. Close-ups of the younger man's face follow. "Gather all of them. I'll do that if you bring me the required materials for the Great Regression Technique." The materials are then introduced, a large ornate bell radiating a mystical aura, a golden incense brazier emanating a fiery glow, a majestic mystical carp swimming in glowing water, and a swirling vortex of dark energy. The elder thought reveals the difficulty. "I could get the 5 million NYANG, but other than that, I wasn't able to get anything else." However, the man in front of me was able to obtain everything over several decades. To obtain the last material, the secret demonic soul of the demonic cult, he disappeared from the world for a long time. A hand holding a cup. "I thought you had probably died in some nameless unknown valley." The elder looks astonished. "How on earth did you get all those materials?" The younger man drinks, his expression unreadable. "I really thought this so-called great technique ought to be damned to hell because it needed those materials. I also considered the possibility of just killing you." The elder is thoughtful. The younger man, with long white hair, holds a cup. "I was really young when I first met him, but now, he has become an old man whose hair is all white. The air around him has changed a lot as well." The elder asks, "I finally get to ask you this. Why exactly are you trying to go back to the past?" A cup slams onto a saucer, a moment of intense emotion. The younger man's face, his eyes glowing red. "Revenge." The elder is shocked. "Was it impossible for you to take revenge, even with your skills? To the extent that you need to go back to the past?" "Yes." "Who on earth do you hate so much?" A close-up of the younger man's eye, cold and intense. "Wa Mugi." All the leaders of the 3 strongest groups that supported the Murim had died in his hands. The Murim Alliance leader was killed, the Unorthodox Alliance leader was killed, and the Heavenly Demon was also killed. The strongest person across all history, Wa Mugi, a desolate battlefield, a lone figure silhouetted against a fiery sky. A fallen warrior, the strongest person of this era. Ryongja's voice cracked with doubt. "I don't think you can defeat him even if you go back to the past." The younger man's jaw tightened. "Even so, I must kill him no matter what. The Heavenly Demon, who died by his hands, was my father." GWI Ryongja's eye widened in shocked realization. The weight of this revelation hung heavy in the air. "I'm not seeking revenge because he killed my father. Though it's also not because he killed my sly brother. It's not a big deal for people who have given their lives to demons to be killed." "So, why?" Ryongja finally asked, his voice filled with a desperate need to understand. "On that day, Wa Mugi killed the servants, cooks, and even young children who didn't know a single martial art. He even killed all the cats and dogs that were reared." Ryongja recoiled. "Wa Mugi wouldn't do that. I can't believe it." The younger man's tone was cold. "I don't care if you believe what I said or not. In this age, I won't be able to kill him, so I must go back to the past to do that. And, I'll ask him this before I kill him. Why did a person as strong as him need to kill even children?" If the great regression technique really succeeds and you go back to the past, can you do me a favor? What is it? The younger man asked. Ryongja's gaze was earnest. If you go back to the past, please come and find me. The younger man's brow furrowed. What for? In a dramatic revelation, Ryongja declared, I want you to stop me from getting married. The sound of surprise echoed in the room. Ha ha ha. I'm not kidding. Please stop me. Tell me to live alone for the rest of my life. The younger man, all right, I promise you that. Let's go to the place where the great regression technique will be used. As they stood, the younger man staggered. Are you all right? He asked, concerned for the elder. I can still hang in there. I lost one arm and one eye, but that was a cheap price to pay in order to obtain the secret demonic soul. The chamber where the ritual would take place glowed with an eerie light. The 4 materials laid out. Ryongja held a small chest, his expression solemn. Inside, a swirling vortex of energy pulsed. The younger man was enveloped by the energy. The elder, caught in its currents, started praying as to start the ritual to go to the past. Energy surrounding him and everything glowing. Suddenly a white light emerges from the center, forming a portal-like thing in the space, breaking the surroundings. This made the elder in shock, rejoicing in joy, saying, he did it. He was so happy, wanted praise from the another man too, so looked at him. But the man, in very bad shape, resting as he can die any time, made elder concern for him for a sec, and then looked at portal and man again, making a huge decision of going to the portal himself, apologizing and making promise to definitely meet him and tell him the impending disaster. He also says, it's my family's greatest wish to go back to the past. It's also mine as well. The elder eyes widened, tried to move, but his body wouldn't obey. I can't move my body. My demonic acupoint has been sealed. A younger stared at him, his face a mask of betrayal. How could you do this? His anger raw. Hey, he said, his tone unreadable. He stood before the younger Ryongja. Of all people, he began, his voice laced with disbelief. He slammed elder on the floor, asking, why would he do this? Ryongja cried out in pain. Kyuga, arg. Tears streamed down his face. I lost my rationality for a short instant. I'm really sorry. I know just how painstaking it was for you to obtain those materials. I shouldn't have done it. His eyes narrowed, a new determination hardening his features. The younger man reached out a hand to the Ryongja. The Ryongja looked up, confused and distressed. The younger man supported him as he coughed, weakened. I'm a selfish person too. I cared for no one but myself, and that was how I could gather all those materials. The younger man's face twisted in pain and rage. If you had been anyone else, I'd have killed you immediately, but I'll understand since it's you. The younger man reached out, his hand bandaged, a gesture of reconciliation. He gently touched Ryongja's face. Thank you for waiting your whole life for me. Tears welled Ryongja's eyes, shock and understanding dawning on his face. He began to weep, deep sorrow etched on his features. I'm really sorry. The younger man looked down at him, a flicker of understanding in his gaze. The younger man's face softened, the scene shifted, the world around them fading into monochrome, save for the younger man's blue clothing, butterflies fluttering around them. What? The man exclaimed in disbelief. He looked all around him and saw butterflies, the elder, and noticed. Everything just stopped, the younger man exclaimed. A voice echoed, you have passed all the tests. An ethereal figure appeared, radiating golden light. Who are you? The younger man asked. The figure responded, the person who can send you back to the past. Their voice resonated with power. There's no way a human can understand the logic of the heavens. Did you think a mere creature and some materials could make traveling back in time possible? The figure continued, revealing the true nature of the great regression technique. The true materials of this technique aren't the materials, but the efforts you have offered to gather all of them. You have passed the test. You have lived your life with one goal in mind as you sacrificed everything you had. And forgiving Ryongja was the last test for you. It was actually the toughest test out of everything, but you were able to pass it easily. The younger man stood before the figure. If I've passed the test, then fulfill my wish. Please, send me back to the past. The figure inquired, what will you do there? The younger man's eyes hardened. I will kill the one who deserves to die and save those who aren't supposed to die. The figure pressed further. Is that all you wish to do when you go back to the past? I want to live my life meaningfully. The figure's voice was gentle but probing. What do you regret? The younger man cried out. All of it. Ever since I was born, none of my actions were out of my own free will. They were all driven by a certain something. The ethereal figure considered his plea. Finally, a swirling vortex of energy formed. I'm curious about the kind of life you will live. I look forward to the new life you will have. With those words, the monochrome world dissolving into vibrant color. The younger man, his face etched with a mix of sorrow and resolve, turned to the elder Ryongja. I'm really sorry, he said. He paused. A moment of reflection before continuing. The remnants of the ritual chamber swirled around them. The elder Ryongja looked at him. I know it's shameless of me to say this, but please don't forget your promise to me. You must stop me from getting married. The younger man's face was serious, his brow furrowed as he contemplated the unusual request. He turned away from the elder Ryongja, a swirling vortex of fiery energy before him. Stay well, he said, a parting farewell. The elder Ryongja watched him go, a sudden panic in his eyes. Hey, he shouted, but it was too late. Remember to do what I told you. His voice echoed as the younger man disappeared into the bright light. The younger man was gone, his eyes, wide open, reflected the intense energy of his journey. Then, he appeared in a new place, a younger version of himself with dark hair tied back with a red ribbon. He stood amidst a stunned crowd. His gaze focused, determined. He looked up at a large, imposing stone statue. The crowd cheering as some competition going on. The younger man smirked, confident and ready. Came back to the past. He held a sheathed sword, prepared for action, his expression serious. He stood before a large building, figures lined up on the upper level. One figure sat on a throne, bathed in a red glow. It was his father, a man with dark hair streaked with gray, his face stern and imposing. Father, the younger man whispered. The man on the throne's eyes widened in surprise. The younger man's face softened, a hint of melancholy in his gaze. How long are you going to keep us waiting for, second young master? A voice shouted. The air crackled with energy, a sudden and impactful arrival. A muscular man yelled, Let's start this fight. He held a large sword, poised for battle. The younger man drew his own sword, facing his opponent. They stood on a cracked surface, crowd watching. I see, the younger man thought. Today is, he understood, the day of the new demon skirmish. A figure of immense power etched in his stern features and flowing robes announced a change that no longer would lineage dictate the future. Strength alone would crown the next leader. This unprecedented declaration ignited a firestorm of ambition, and become Heavenly Demon. To prove his resolve, the Heavenly Demon unleashed the new demon skirmish, a brutal spectacle of martial prowess. The air became a canvas for streaks of raw energy and the clang of steel as disciples clashed with unrestrained ferocity. The victor would not only stand above his peers but would also earn the right to challenge destiny itself. A duel against the Heavenly Demon's own kin and the granting of a single, life-altering wish. Emerged a figure hardened by battle. His fiery orange hair seemed to mirror the burning ambition in his eyes, a dismissive taunt aimed at the seemingly favored son. How about giving up while you can? The second young master's gaze remained steady, betraying no hint of the turmoil within. A realization was dawning, a piece of the puzzle clicking into place. Gu Pyungo, a perceived insult to his strength, remembered the sting of being considered the easier path. The memory of being chosen to fight the second young master, not for his merit but for his supposed weakness, still rankled, a burning ember beneath his fiery exterior. But the second young master's thoughts traveled a different path, a cook in his own kitchen, a subtle act of betrayal. A dark liquid, an energy-dispersing poison, surreptitiously added to his daily sustenance. The consequence of this treachery, he knelt on the cold stone floor, his sword lying uselessly beside him, stained with the blood of a battle he should have won. Seeking solace and justice, he had turned to his father, laying bare the insidious plot that had cost him victory. The Heavenly Demon's gaze, when it finally met his son's, held a weight of unspoken judgment. Only a stern disappointment that seemed to lay the blame squarely at the feet of the fallen son for his vulnerability. Yet, within that crushing disappointment, a spark of defiance ignited. The second young master resolved to rise above the setback. From the ashes of his defeat, a new understanding began to bloom. A flicker of distraction crossed his features, a momentary lapse into the complex web of his thoughts. The fiery-haired Gu Pyungo stood ready. The second young master finally broke the silence. "What did you say your name was?" The question hung in the air. Gu Pyungo, taken aback by the apparent nonchalance, responded with a mix of confusion and rising anger. He was a disciple of the esteemed Blood Heaven Sword Demon, a lineage that commanded respect and fear. Gu Pyungo addressed his opponent. He assumed the second young master's willingness to fight him implied a similar level of self-assurance. But the second young master's gaze drifted, drawn towards a figure seated high above the arena, the heavenly demon himself, a silent observation of his ability to overcome adversity. His father had known all along. He understood now. This was not just a fight against Gu Pyungo, but a trial orchestrated by his own father. His true skills could not be revealed here, not yet. A silent vow formed in his mind. The second young master raised a clenched fist. He would face this challenge on his own terms. "I'll fight Gu Pyungo, my challenger, without using any inner energy." The declaration echoed through the stunned silence of the arena. Disbelief rippled through the crowd. Murmurs of confusion and derision filled the stands. Gu Pyungo himself was taken aback. The arena erupted in a cacophony of voices. Gu Pyungo, taken amiss of the situation, had to resort for also saying the same thing the young master Sis. But to his shock, the crowd went silent for him. Instead started to say that this fight will be no fun if they are not going to use inner energy. Gu Pyungo, his face contorted in rage, slammed his massive sword into the ground. "Damn it!" he roared, his pride wounded by the blatant dismissal. But the second young master stood firm, a faint energy crackling around its blade. Gu Pyungo, his patience exhausted, roared his demand. "Unsheathe your sword!" The second young master remained unmoved, his sword still sheathed. "I don't think I need to use a sword against you, though?" Gu Pyungo's face contorted in disbelief and rage as a voice from the crowd echoed his sentiment. "Dude, he's totally looking down on you." His teeth gritted as he spat out the words. "I won't kill you since you're the cult leader's son, but I'll take an arm of yours." With a furious leap, he brought the weapon crashing down towards the seemingly defenseless second young master. But the second young master was anything but defenseless. "Good, my body's able to react instantly. It's faster than I thought." He tumbled through the air, narrowly avoiding the full brunt of Gu Pyungo's attack. Landing gracefully on his feet, his sword held defensively, he skidded slightly on the stone floor. "My heart is beating with so much strength at this age." Gu Pyungo, momentarily stunned by the unexpected parry, a guttural "urgh" escaping his lips. A surge of primal fury coursed through him. "You peanut! You dare laugh!" he roared. The second young master had managed to twist his body, deflecting the worst of the blow. Yet, a searing pain shot through him, and blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. A strangled "kuj." His hand instinctively clutched at the point of impact, the force of the blow sending tremors through his body. The world seemed to tilt as blood splattered across the arena floor. The second young master stood above his opponent, his gaze intense. A devastating kick landed squarely on Gu Pyungo, the force of the impact radiating outward in visible waves. He reeled backward, a spray of dust and debris erupting around him. Blood now streamed freely from his mouth and nose, his eyes wide with pain and disbelief. The decisive moment arrived with a brutal finality. The second young master's gaze was sharp and accusatory. "Was it this hand, the one you used to give the poison?" Gu Pyungo's face, a mask of shock and dawning horror, young master with a heavy blow on the elbow breaking his arm while the man cried in pain. Everyone shocked to see this side of young master and were silent. Gu Pyungo lying down on ground while blood coming from his mouth made clear victor of the round. Young master looked at him for the last time and thought of not letting anyone influence his life like was done in past. Above him, the heavenly demon sat upon his ornate throne, his gaze fixed on his son. "As I've said, I'll grant you a wish." The second young master's mind raced. The expectations of the cult, the usual desires for power or knowledge, flickered through his thoughts. "But this time, I'll follow my instincts," he decided. "I wish to go on a hunt with you, father." The heavenly demon's unreadable expression remained. His eyes narrowed slightly as he absorbed his son's unexpected request. The crowd above murmured in confusion. Below, Gu Pyongo knelt in defeat, clutching his injured arm. The heavenly demon's gaze remained steady. You want to hunt with me? Looking up at his imposing father, the second young master offered a respectful nod. Yes, I heard you enjoyed hunting when you were young. I'd like to learn how to hunt from you. A close-up on the heavenly demon's eyes revealed a deeper contemplation. Standing, his majestic robes flowing around him, he declared, "We'll depart tomorrow at dawn." The intricate dragon embroidery on his shoulder seemed to shimmer as he moved. The second young master knelt respectfully as his father rose, the other kneeling figures in the hall mirroring his posture. As the second young master stood, turning away from the formal setting, a voice crossed him. "What an idiot," he mused internally. "I can't believe you made such a lousy wish." What did you say your name was again?" the second young master asked, deliberately provoking the wounded pride of his former adversary. But the second young master's focus had already shifted. "Now that I'm back, the reckless life that all of you have lived no longer interests me." Gazing at a framed portrait of his younger self, "I'm really young again, unlike the old me." He then glanced at a portrait of an older man with white hair, a hint of contemplation in his eyes. His thoughts then turned to a specific individual. Wa Mugi. What could he be doing right now? If I can find him and kill him before he becomes strong, then I can resolve this whole matter easily, he reasoned. The problem is that he's hard to find. He appeared in the Jianghu as if he fell out of the skies. After he destroyed the Murim Alliance, the Unorthodox Alliance, and the demonic cult, he hid himself from the world, so there isn't much information on him. But trying to find him by telling the whole world his name to find him would be a dangerous act of provocation. In the END, my top priority is still Tio become stronger than Hwa Mugi. He stood in his room, clenching his fist, the image of a bookshelf filled with scrolls a testament to his pursuit of knowledge and power. A voice interrupted his thoughts. "Young master," a cheerful voice called out. The second young master turned to see a woman with a distinctive appearance. Recognition dawned in his eyes. "Li Ahn," he exclaimed. "That's correct, young master," Leon replied, her cheerful demeanor unwavering. The second young master's thoughts drifted back to a past encounter. I didn't know at this time that her huge size was because of the martial arts she learned. Body petrification technique. A vivid memory flashed through his mind. Leon throwing herself in front of him, shielding him from a deadly attack. She threw herself in front of me to block the sword aura that Hwa Mugi sent my way. Looking at Leon, a wave of regret washed over him. I didn't realize her voice sounded so nice. She was ready to throw away her life for me, but I only thought of her as a simple bodyguard at this time. I took her for granted. Just like how people take having oxygen in the air for granted. He looked at Leon, truly seeing her for the first time. Her gentle, upturned gaze held an unwavering loyalty. "She's bigger than I remembered," he thought, a hint of awe in his observation. "She will be the greatest beauty in the world." Young and radiant, framed by blossoming roses, she seemed destined for a life of grace, her once delicate form swelling with unspoken tears. "I'll protect you, young master," the silent cries that painted shadows under her eyes. He then with a smile thought that she has already noticed change in him. "Let's go. I'll show you something even stranger." "Where are we going?" she asked. "To flip the dining table," came the cryptic reply. They entered a hall where an audience of elders awaited. The air crackled with unspoken tension. Suddenly, a voice cut through the silence. "Why did you do it?" An old man, likely be the owner of the shop, asked in confusion. "What does he mean?" Young master gaze fell upon the underling of the owner, and asked him why did he poisoned his meal. Him denying quickly made master ask another question to him about the gamble of 3,000 niang he received. This made him fluster as he knew he was caught and had gambling addiction. The man kneeling suddenly realizing of his grave mistake apologized to master. Master asking him lastly of was he Gu Pyongo and him accepting it. Now everything was clear. Master swing his sword cutting his head and blood splatting everywhere. Everybody was in shock, while master speaks, shame on a cook who dares to poison food for others. An old man, kneeling amidst a pool of blood, his hands trembling, declared, "My apologies, young master. I take full responsibility for this. Why you? The one at fault is the one who poisoned my meal." But the old man insisted, "No, everything that happens in the kitchen is my responsibility." Brow furrowed. "Cook Lim, does that mean anything unjust that happens in the cult is my father's fault?" Cook Lim's eyes widened in alarm. Pardon. Standing slightly behind the young master, her face a mixture of shock and dawning understanding. No, that's never the case. So why are you trying to take responsibility for this? Cook Lim remained silent, his head bowed. Abruptly, Master sheathed his sword. Stop talking nonsense and cook me shredded chicken noodles for dinner. It's been a while since I've had that for dinner. The young master looked at him, a hint of surprise on her face. Didn't you just have that a few days ago? Master gaze met hers, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes. That was a few decades ago to me, he murmured. The next day, at dawn, a solitary figure stood before the majestic heavenly demon pavilion. What's with all those distracting belongings on you? He questioned, his gaze sweeping over young master attire. They're things that are needed for the next few days, he replied. The elder's brow furrowed. Days? I only plan for a day's hunt. Who knows? You might enjoy the hunt and stay for a few more days. The elder's gaze narrowed, a close-up of his watchful eye revealing a deep suspicion. That's an ambitious dream you have there, the elder remarked. He simply offered a cryptic smile, his true destination now unveiled, towering mountains in the far distance. Now, Master found himself deep within an ancient forest, the gnarled roots of colossal trees twisting around him like the veins of the earth. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the trees. You're better than I thought, his eyes narrowing at the unseen presence. Did he notice I was hiding the skills I've built up in my past life while fighting Gu Pyongo? A decision forming in his mind. It would be better for me to tell him. I was hiding my skills, young master admitted. I noticed, the elder confirmed, his gaze unwavering. Young master's smile widened slightly. I'm not a cat that hisses, but a beast that hides its claws. The elder's eyes narrowed further, a hint of curiosity flickering within them. Why would a beast hide its claws? He paused, considering his words carefully. Oh, I hadn't thought of it from that perspective. That's why you're a cat. How much of the soaring sword art have you mastered? He then inquired. A mental image of the soaring sword art, a dance of lethal grace and breathtaking speed, flashed through his mind, and it's thought to be an extremely advanced martial art similar to the martial arts learned by the demon supremes. A quiet confidence settled in his gaze. I've completely mastered it. Young master plucked a fallen branch from the forest floor and executed a lightning-fast strike. His eyes widened momentarily in genuine surprise. If I hadn't turned my face away instinctively, my whole cheek would have been gone. The elder's stern mask returned. You would have simply paid the price of having lied to me. You would have been able to dodge it if you really mastered it completely. His brow furrowed slightly. Even so, I have a face that resembles yours. It wouldn't look nice with a scar on it. A tense silence hung between them. Did I go overboard? He briefly wondered, a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Finally, the elder spoke. To have completely mastered it at your age, that's worthy of praise. Made him shock as his father never praised him ever in his previous life. A small, almost shy smile touched his lips. Thank you. They resumed their journey deeper into the misty woods, the earlier tension easing into a cautious understanding. Eventually broke the silence, his question unexpected. Who did you learn hunting from? He paused. My older brother. Eyes widened in surprise. I had an uncle, his gaze drifting to a distant point. He died. I killed him when I was around your age. The air thickened with the weight of his confession. He looked at the elder's retreating back, a whirlwind of emotions churning within him. You did great, he said, made the elder in shock. The elder halted, turning his head slightly, his gaze meeting master. Him continuing, otherwise, I wouldn't been born. The words hanging in the misty air. He watched the elder, a growing unease settling within him, thinking that his father would also had hard time while killing his family member. Back then, I couldn't find any other solution, elder spoke. Master gaze sharpened. He couldn't find a way to win the successor war without killing his own brother. Huh? He clenching his fist. I hope you won't think that I can do it. The elder turned his head, a grim resolve etched onto his face. I can't do what you weren't able to, and you already know that there's no need for me to even consider that. Because my brother is that vicious and cruel. A fleeting, shadowy image of a menacing figure flashed in his mind. The elder's gaze hardened, a steely determination in his eyes as they stood amidst the ancient trees. Speaking ill of him when he's not around, huh? The elder thought again, a brief flicker of guilt before his expression settled into a mask of resolve. The towering, mist-shrouded cliffs of a forgotten age. Mountains stood as silent sentinels as two figures navigated the treacherous terrain, leaped across a seemingly bottomless chasm. Behind him, more cautious, came a younger man, burdened by a traveler's pack. I didn't get married in my past life, he mused. That's why I didn't really know how it felt like to have children. So I'm curious, what kind of existence was I to father? Noticing his pensive expression in a brief pause, the warrior halted. Is something there? He murmured. The younger man's eyes narrowed. Our dinner, he thought. We need to kill it then, drawing his blade. How are you going to kill something that you can't even see? First, close your eyes and feel your surroundings, he instructed. Okay, the warrior responded. Beixian, his brow furrowed in concentration, focused his inner energy. When martial masters try to figure out their opponents, they sense the vibrations in the surrounding air. He could feel a single powerful presence. Father's energy flow. He pushed past the familiar energy. Now send out some energy, he instructed the warrior. Without breaking that energy, make it thinner. Think of your body as a ball of yarn. Thin lines of blue energy flickered from Beixian, reaching out into the darkness. Slowly discharge your energy as if you're pulling out a thread. Did you reach it? The warrior asked. Yes, I can feel it, Beixian confirmed. What do you think it is? Focusing again, the blue energy coalesced in his mind. I think it's a tree, he announced. Search that vicinity, the warrior commanded. Beixian extended his senses, the blue energy tendrils probing the darkness. He concentrated harder, the strain evident on his face. A new sensation, a focused stream of energy. Then, a terrifying image flashed in his mind. Tusked wild boar crashing through the undergrowth. A wild boar, Beixian exclaimed in disbelief. Or is it a bear? It has stiff fur and a long body, so it feels like it could be a wild boar. The warrior, observing the creature's movements, finally confirmed. Yes, it's a wild boar. At first, I was unable to guess it correctly at this distance as well. A small, self-satisfied smile touched his lips. I'm gifted with a body that learns martial arts quickly after all. The ensuing confrontation was swift and decisive. Later, as they prepared the roasted boar over the crackling flames, the warrior inquired, when did you learn how to prepare hunted animals for cooking? You seem way too skilled at it, in his mind. Well, it's because I hunted countless wild boars for food before I regressed. He then added, I prepared what you're sitting on so that I could win your favor. It was worth carrying all the heavy baggage. Did you want to hunt with me because you wanted to impress me and become the successor? No, I know that wouldn't work on you. I can become the successor on my own without your help. That's a lot of confidence you have. Why did you want to hunt with me? The warrior turned. I had two reasons. The first is because I wanted to learn whatever I could from you so I could become stronger. The older warrior's question hung in the bamboo-laden air. What comes after getting stronger? Beixian sitting clearing his doubt. He did not want it to become Heavenly Demon and replacing him. I am satisfied if I can learn the Heavenly Demon's martial arts by becoming a successor. His focus narrowed further, a close-up of his determined eye. I need to learn the 9 calamities demonic art quickly and master it. No, I must go beyond that level. Because even my father, who had mastered the 9 calamities demonic art, lost to Wamugi. I must at least master it. Looking up at the vast expanse of the night sky, the warrior, observing Beixian's intense focus, pressed further. What's the second reason? Beixian's intensity softened slightly as he admitted. I wanted to spend some time with you alone. It's our first time doing this. That's a useless emotion that'll get you killed, the warrior scoffed. Beixian countered, why is it useless? I get to spend time with the strongest person in the world. The warrior remained unmoved. Watching his son's answer made him in thought, his eyes shifting from him, now in deep thought. His son looks at his sad or worried face, now thinks his father memories as he had none, from even his previous life, and in this life he wanted to create some memories with him, just for his own sake. Their exchange was cut short by the approaching dawn. Let's go back now. But the hunt wasn't over for the older warrior. We're not going anywhere, he declared. You came out to hunt with the Heavenly Demon, so we need to at least kill a tiger before we leave. Beixian surprised. Don't stand around like a dunce. Follow me, the older warrior commanded. Yes, father, he replied. Deeper within the dense bamboo forest, the older warrior stopped. Close your eyes again, he instructed. I want you to feel the wind this time. Infuse your energy into the wind. Beixian concentrated, a swirl of blue energy enveloping him. I've never thought of infusing my energy into the wind before. Discharge your energy, explaining further to send it as quickly as he can, otherwise it's just a petty trick, the warrior commanded. Beixian focused, attempting to blend his energy with the subtle currents of the wind. I can feel the wind and my energy. How do I combine these two together? The initial attempts were clumsy, the connection elusive. Then, a breakthrough. A faint blue trail followed the wind's currents. This is it, he realized. To infuse it into the wind is not to ride on it. What I need is to entangle the two together. Bright blue streaks of energy now danced through the bamboo forest. A close-up revealed the source of their hunt. A tiger's eye, glowing with predatory intensity in the dim light. A jolt of surprise ran through Beixian. There really is a tiger, he exclaimed. Beixian inquired, what's wrong? Don't get lazy in your training of discharging your energy, the older warrior advised sternly. Beixian nodded. A pair of hands carefully held a bottle of liquor with stark red markings. This is my strongest trump card. Beixian held a small, white jar. The older warrior, flask in hand, watched him. This is good, the older warrior commented. His brow furrowed slightly. It's still too strong for me, he said aloud, but his inner thoughts, that's a lie though. No demonic human would complain about liquor being too strong, he stated. So what if I can't drink? Having a vicious heart is more important than drinking strong liquor. A vicious heart? Can that kill me so that you can live? No. How could a child kill his parents? Honestly, this is a lie too. If I had enough reasons to kill him, then I could do it, even if he's my father. The older warrior, unmoved by Beixian's words, pressed him further. If you're hesitant about that, then you shouldn't say things like having a vicious heart. Beixian, holding the white jar, I'll have to learn how to drink strong liquor then. The older warrior regarded Beixian with a piercing gaze. His silence punctuated only by the crackling of the fire. His expression was unreadable. Under the cloak of a deep indigo night, the silhouette of the heavenly demon pavilion loomed. Within its seemingly secure walls, a young warrior focused his inner energy. After focusing on a few days of training since my regression, I'm now able to freely infuse my energy into the wind, he realized. I'm also able to maintain 3 to 4 lines of it. I wasn't expecting Father to teach me how to discharge my energy to check out the surroundings. This is as good as getting an extra life. And if I continue training and I become capable of releasing more than 10 lines of energy at the same time, I might be able to neutralize any stealth techniques used by my enemies. The weight of his past knowledge pressed down on him. But, even though his father was this strong, he was killed by Wamugi, the heavenly demon pavilion, a place that was thoroughly guarded by 3 barrier formations. There are also 8 demon supremes in 8 different directions, and their subordinates protecting the heavenly demon. In the north, there are the demonic swordsmen of the Northern Heaven Sword family led by the One-Sword Supreme. In the south, there's the demonic bladesmen of the Southern Heavens Blade family led by the Blood Heavens Bladesman. In the east, there are the Iron Fists of the Eastern Fist faction led by the undefeated Fist Demon. In the west, there are the demonic sorcerers of the Western Illusion formation led by the Soul-Stealing Demon. In the northeast are the faceless swordsmen that want to become the evil Smiling Demon. In the southeast, there's the drunken swordsman that's always drunk with the demonic drunkard. In the southwest are the Poison Fangs, who research all sorts of poison along with the Poison King. And finally, in the northwest are the crazy monks that are crazy about the demonic Buddha's beliefs of deluding the world. Back then, I thought the enemy had broken in from the outside. I realized later that the outer defense was never broken. There could be more than one traitor. The traitor was never found. But it doesn't matter who it is because I treat all 8 demon supremes as traitors. After Father died, none of the 8 demon supremes sought revenge. Instead, they decided to close down the demonic cult. That's still an event in the far future, so I know all about the 8 demon supremes. I know the kind of lives they've lived and what their last moments in life were like. Started walking as he continues his thought, he declared, this time, I'll make use of the 8 demon supremes through and through. His gaze swept across the traditional architecture, finally settling on a set of closed doors. Hey fatty. Is the second young master still in the training ground? Someone outside inquired. How many days has it been already? I can't wait anymore. Go in and drag him here. A surprised voice echoed. What did you just say? Leon, what are you doing there? Young master. The protagonist's past self watched, a mixture of shock and understanding in his eyes. I told you to do your own thing while I was training. Were you waiting here for me the whole time I was training? A different voice interjected. You're finally out, second young master. Why are you suddenly training out of nowhere? The protagonist's thoughts turned to a looming confrontation. A disciple of the Blood Heaven's Bladesman. You can say the reason why he dares to act this way is wholly because of my father. After he announced that anyone in the cult could become the successor, being the heavenly demon's son no longer feels that special. What do you want? The protagonist asked. Don't you already know that? Pyongo can no longer practice martial arts because of you, Yangpa retorted. So what? You want me to go look after him or something? Yangpa. Do you think I'm joking with you right now? I don't think our relationship is one where we can have serious conversations though. Go apologize to him officially, Yangpa demanded. The protagonist's eye narrowed. I know why he's come here to ask me to apologize. The best disciple of the Blood Heaven's Bladesman wasn't selected. That's why his disciples are trying to impress him by doing whatever it takes. Master telling Yangpa it won't work on his master. Yangpo's denial was vehement. That's nonsense. I'm only here for Pyongo's sake. His command cut through the tension. I want you to be the one to apologize. Yangpa, his brow furrowed in a mix of confusion and disbelief, asked, For what? The protagonist's gaze hardened. For speaking rudely to my subordinate. Apologize to her. The subordinate with the twin buns, caught in the crossfire. It's fine, young master, attempting to defuse the situation. I'm not fine with it, he declared. Leon blushing by his act for her. Yangpa, you dared to speak rudely to my subordinate, so I want you to kneel down and apologize. Yangpo's reaction was explosive. Did you just ask me to kneel to that fatty over there? The protagonist's jaw tightened. There you go, running your mouth again. Have you gone crazy? I'd rather die than kneel to her. A sinister smile played on the protagonist's lips, his hand moving to the hilt of his sword. That's what I wanted to hear. Young master unsheathing his sword, ready for the battle, Yangpa in total disbelief. Leon also shocked to see her master. Yangpa getting angry now, young master with his final warning, to kneel and apologize or die, and mocking him telling, his master won't be pleased by his retreat. Now Yangpa final question, why go this far? To which he replies he would not care anything, but not insult of his subordinate. Leon with wide eyes watches young master in shock, Yangpa mocking him back calling her pig, while master gets ready to attack. Yangpa also takes his sword out, while his subordinates tells him to not do it. Leon also does the same for young master, now both of them standing in front of each other, with their swords out. Yangpa tells him, since he is son of heavenly demon, he will only take one of his arms, charging his sword backwards. Young master watches him with no worry, while all other are not even able to speak. Yangpa releases his energy from the sword, and dashes towards him slashing. He easily dodges the attack and with single blow, pierced his mouth to his skull, killing him in one move. Everyone in disbelief to see live murder, while master states, your mouth was the cause of your death, as blood drips from his mouth. From his sword, Leon with worry face, and that very same mouth refused to apologize, taking his sword out from his mouth, splattering blood all over the place, killing Yangpa. His body falls on the ground as master watches him in silence. Yangpa, him defeated. A figure demands, do you think you can handle the consequences of your action? Your mouth resemble his. A chilling threat is issued. Pass on my words exactly the way I say it. If you dare say it any differently, I'll find you at dusk, as his friends bring over his body along with them. Why did you do that? I'm asking why you did that for someone like me. Master thinking in his mind, Leon, you're still worried about me even though you've been hurt emotionally. This isn't because of you. I simply killed someone who deserved to die. The Blood Heaven's Bladesman wouldn't have let this slide. He knew why Leon was scared, as he was disciple of one of the martial master, with great power and influence, now revealed the identity as Blood Heaven's Bladesman, of whom he crippled one, and killed another disciple. He relaxes Leon saying, he won't do anything to him, so don't worry. But Leon states, his pride might hurt though, denying her, telling he has no such pride. Now a hand reaches out for her. Keeping it on her shoulder tells her to relax and don't worry. Leon blushes. With side look, now watches him go. Young master thinks of profit from killing Yangpa instead, as his actions will attract attention in cult. An act of gratitude follows. Thank you for what you did today. I was really happy that you took my side just now. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. A silent reaction, with a smile on his face. You'd better be thankful. Don't you dare forget this for the rest of your life. A seemingly supportive statement is made in his mind. Yes, Leon, keep smiling like that. I want you to live life smiling like that. Now on the same night, with full moon, young master sitting outside on a big rock, perhaps reflecting on the past or seeking inner peace after the conflict. Come to think of it, I was drowned in the sense of defeat as I ran away after the demonic cult disbanded. The question, if I didn't find out about the great regression technique, how would things have been? A close-up of an eye emphasizes a moment of heightened awareness. Young master looks at his side. To his shock, he watches his reflection on a sword, with the sword reaching for his neck, stops at the brink of his neck cut off. A old figure in rage sitting beside him with his sword is shown. Young master looks at him with his side eye. It was the Blood Heaven's Bladesman himself, emitting intense murderous intent. The surprised reaction, I didn't think he'd get here so quickly. Can I dodge his sword in my current state? My inner energy is severely lacking, so I won't be able to dodge it. Retracting his sword back, reliving master tension. The image of the two seated figures, one with a sword. The silence adds to the tension of this encounter. The final close-up of the older character with a subtle, almost sinister smile hints at a hidden agenda. Why did you do it? Hitting his stomach with hilt of his sword. The younger man spoke. I did it because he acted like a fool. A fool, you say? Did you come to pick a fight with the youngest son of the heavenly demon who doesn't give a shit about fools? The old man's expression remained impassive, laced with a dangerous edge. Should I cut off your head and show it to the heavenly demon? Shall we see if he cares? A chilling confidence in his eyes. I don't think your blade could slice through my head if you think about my father's terrifying eyes. Again retracting his sword back from his neck, slashes the ground, with a big single line, and made 2 vertical marks on it. Young master with confused expression watches. Old man explains that the majority of the line is the care for him from heavenly demon. Young master with silent view looks at him, and crouches to the ground, to point his finger at the mark from his sword. The younger man looked down at the older one. I'm his son after all, I'll probably matter at least this much. The older man's eyes remained closed, with a smile on his lips, says, We'll know if we test it out. Do you think he'll kill me or let me live if I carry solely your head in my arms? I think you greatly underestimate the love of a father that this heavenly demon here has. Clenching his sword, stands up again demanding, Let's test that out then, scaring young master with his aura. The younger man's face tightened. There's no need to test it out. He has 2 sons and there's only one of you. The older man's voice, laced with a hint of dark amusement. You're not as foolish as my disciple. Getting up from the ground, tells the old man. If your disciple was anything like you, he would still be alive. A cold determination settled on the younger man's face. Second young master, I've lived my whole life with misfortune. I hope we don't meet often. The younger man's gaze was steady, his reply firm. I'll be sure to remember that. Suddenly disappearing from his view, as he watches in shock to see him, already in the sky from his one leap went from his garden, now master standing beside the rock, his eyes in pain looks down, sliding his shirt upwards, to see circle marks left behind on his stomach. He remembers how the marks got there from the old man, looks up discarding his pain. The Blood Heaven's Bladesman might look like he acts as he pleases, but that's not the case. He calculates and plans everything meticulously. Realizing old man just saying to take his head 2 times means he was thinking of doing that. He came here to see me. He felt the need to test me since I had killed his disciple on top of everything I've done so far. He's here to see if I'm fit to become the successor. With resolute expression on his face, is my first opponent the Blood Heaven's Bladesman? As the protagonist meditated his energy around him, he was cultivating in his room alone, as he uses the new technique, taught by his father to detect someone. Suddenly he senses someone near him. He sensed someone above him. He chases that person on the roof, jumping to the ceiling corner with his sword. Then he saw the person in front of his eyes, who was none other than his father, waiting for him. He calls for his father, as he was confused to see him. He give a strict glance towards him and ask him a question, of killing sword demon disciple. Now the protagonist finally understood why he was there. Looks at him annoyed, tells him that he killed the person deserving death. Whether he deserved to die or not doesn't matter. The demon's voice echoed. The Blood Heaven's sword demon has come looking for me in regards to that matter. He wants you to receive punishment. A sharp gasp escaped the younger man. You're saying that the Blood Heaven's sword demon went to find you because I killed his disciple. This was even unexpected for even his father too. The younger warrior's expression hardened. He wants to test the relationship I have with my father. Then he'd also find out if father considers me as one of the successor candidates. The older demon's eyes watched him intently. So, I intend to punish you. Protagonist debates as there is no justification for punishment. The demon simply stood. Justification can be made. His eyes stared back at the older man. You asked me which demon supreme I trust the most when we were hunting, didn't you? The older demon finally spoke. The protagonist, his gaze distant, finally spoke. Father, who do you trust the most among the demon supremes? Remembering the past night, to which his father remained quiet, while protagonist thinks, back then, father didn't give me an answer. But in present he finally told him, I don't trust anyone, not even the demon supremes. Then the older man continued, you said hierarchy and discipline needs to be get in order within the cult. I want to hear your true thoughts. He waits for his son's answer watching him. Protagonist in deep thought with a sad look on his face, speaks that, I feel like, somewhere along the line, we've lost the path of the demon. The older man, in shock to hear those words, questions him. What does he mean by that? As they stood on the roof of the glowing pavilion. The old man's gaze sharpened. What does the path of the demon mean to you? The younger man met his gaze. I think the path of the demon would be the belief that only our cult has to defeat absolute evil. Not expecting his answer, father was shocked, while protagonist adds that they are same as any orthodox cult right now. His father asks, then what is their cult then? It'd be absolute evil. Master spoke as his father was sent in shock. I'm referring to absolute evil that's so cowardly and evil that no human in the world can bear. The justice and chivalry that the orthodox faction advocates for might be able to deal with the lesser evils, but I don't think they are capable of dealing with absolute evil. As long as they value people, how could they be a match for evil that has forsaken their humanity and run rampant? We are the only existence within the Murim that can get rid of evil that's atrocious and wicked by being even more wicked, he rasped, his eyes dark and intense, when the great evil that even the orthodox faction can't handle kneels in front of us. I think that's when we've truly accomplished the path of the demon. Father also listening carefully to his each word. If we can't accomplish the true path of the demon, we won't be able to go far. His father was left speechless, as this was also new to him. I can guarantee that father has never thought of this before, Jinmu mused, or heard of anything like this before. Because I didn't learn this or realize this from when I was in this cult. That's what I felt as I wandered the Central Plains for my whole life. Any other arrogant thoughts? His voice cutting through the tension. When silence followed, he had simply stated, no, that should suffice. I think I know now why the Blood Heaven Sword Demon wants me to punish you. The master's eyes held a strange understanding. He's seen something in you and he wants to use me to test you. Jinmu had considered this. I guess he saw a possibility of being a successor candidate within me, but the master had simply scoffed. Or maybe he sees you as someone who'll mess up our cult. Father looked back at his son, a silent question in his eyes. The master, sensing his thoughts, simply turned. Follow me. Jinmu hesitated. Where are we going this late? He murmured, but the master was already moving. The entrance to the minor heaven cave loomed, a stark opening in the rocky hillside, framed by the silhouettes of pine trees against a dark sky. He knew the true nature of this place, for it was a place where a possible candidate that could become the heavenly demon, going in is easy, but if they can't get through the trials in it, then they'll be stuck within it forever. Half of the people who are blood-related to the heavenly demon that went in have lost their lives. His resolve hardened. But this is a place that I must pass through at least once if I want to become the heavenly demon. Are you asking me to go into this place? The older man's experience lent weight to his words as he added, I also went in around your age. The young man's curiosity led him to ask, how long did it take for you to get out? The older man's response was succinct. 2 months, the young man exclaims. His face etched with a mixture of anger and disbelief. The father, with a stoic expression, responds from a distance. I was the only one to make it out in 2 months. The rest took on average 3 years. The young man's frustration boils over. You want me to go into such a place without any preparation at all? You're sending me into a place where I could die just because the Blood Heaven Sword Demon wants you to punish me? Do you really not care if your son dies? Or, are you wishing that I'd become stronger and come out of there alive? He settled his thoughts in his mind, and with a smile on his face, commends that he will try to come earlier than he did. A resolute resolve formed in his heart. The father simply lets out a dismissive humph. Just try to keep yourself alive. In the shadowy high-tech corridors, protagonist began his impossible trial. He moved with a practiced grace, his dark blue hanfu-like attire rustling softly. The first thing that struck him was the sheer scale of the place. As the room started to lit up, showing him path, he reached to the first room with many green lanterns glowing. His eyes fell upon the instruction for the first trial. He had to cut all the dolls in given time, and if not, he will be given another chance in 10 days. His eyes then fell upon the food he will have. I'm supposed to eat those grain balls while I stay here. There was no need to waste any more time. I'll start right away. He stood in the red circle to start the test. His gaze drifted towards a series of imposing dark-armored figures, their forms reminiscent of ancient automatons or golems, their bodies marked with ominous red lines, emerged from the flood beneath him. Looks like I'm supposed to slash where the red marks are, he mused. His gaze sharpened as he was ready to cut some dolls. A sudden sharp ripped through the silence as he moved, cutting all the dolls in his way, a blur of motion and steel. His blade sang, a fierce symphony of destruction, as he non-stop keeps in slicing all the dolls precisely. As he was cutting through them, stopped in place thought, they were tougher than he thought. Looks back at the room, to find that there were still some dolls left to break. He tenses up as he dashes towards them thinking, I couldn't let them go down. Not like this, as he barely manages to cut the doll before it went down, but other dolls also started to go down, at same time. Without taking break he jumped at them, cutting through all the dolls in one go. He stops himself skidding, as there was one last doll to kill which was almost gone. He grits his teeth and jumped to it with full force, coming closer to the doll face, in the last second with a dash. He cuts its head, completing the first trial in one go. He exhaled, glanced over his shoulder at the countless broken forms strewn across the floor, as the other door opens up in front of him, leading to the next trial. Him now stood amidst the silence, walking towards the door, as his glacé fell upon something leaving the room. It was the writing of previous ones telling, amount of tries it took for them, while some could not get past, but his eyes fell upon the writing at the end. He leaned closer, their expression thoughtful to read what it says. Idiots. Was written by someone. Scoff escaped his lips, as he realized it was his father. Although he's not wrong, I can't believe he berated our ancestors. A sudden halt, as he reached the second room for their next trail, saw a large room similar to previous one, but weapons hanging on all walls. The figure approached the weapon display, their eyes scanning the myriad of blades. Seeing as how there are so many types of weapons, this trial seems to be one that would need to make use of them. The second trail read, to split a stone in half using any sword hung on the wall. Without hesitation, the figure stepped into its embrace. He held his ornate sword and examined the smooth, pale orb resting on a weathered pedestal before him. He looks down on the ball in disappointment, thinking, I have 2 hours for this. That's too much time to just cut a single ball into half. He further thinks, the hidden reason of the trail, as he grabs on sword from the wall, smashing it on the ball, breaking it in one swing. I guess just slashing it won't work, he thought. In that case, he resolved, tightening his grip on the sword, I'll use enhanced sword aura to cut this in half. His sword became a blur, infused with the shimmering blue energy of his enhanced aura. He stops in between realizing something, undoing his energy from his sword, as now the sword rests in his hand, while he thinks it is too easy for a trail, and wonders how other did this. Turning to their words, many used enhance to cut, while one states that he cut it without using sword aura, other thinks that this person is lying, while protagonist search his father words, which stated that if there is heat, you lose, made him wonder, why did he say that? His usual self would just berate them and get it over with like he did in the first trial. The instructions clearly stated, you may use sword aura or enhanced sword aura. Yet, the word may echoed in his mind, sparking a flicker of doubt. Then this trial can only be truly passed without using sword aura or enhanced sword aura. He stars the trail just hitting the ball with swords, breaking them, even using axe to cut it, but it recoiled back. He used hammer to break it apart, but still no result. I can't even leave a scratch on it. How do I split this in half without enhanced sword aura? He gritted out. My time limit is almost up. The desperate thought, should I just use enhanced sword aura and pass? He squeezed his eyes shut, a silent ha escaping his lips as he fought against the urge to give in. A vision of his father's stern, father split this into half without using enhanced sword aura. Suddenly, a flicker of an idea ignited within him. A faint blue aura began to emanate from him. He used his technique to sense something in the ball, his blue thread-like energy checking the ball from all direction. As he finally got something, he focused. I can detect a faint line that I couldn't see just by using my eyes to look at the ball. He raised his sword, not with brute force, but with a precise, almost fluid motion. His focus sharpened, swinging his sword to the perfect line, cutting the sphere in half in one blow. He overjoyed as he was able to do it, and complete the trail in one go, but he saw a pill in between the sphere kept for the one who passes the trial. He recognizes the pill, stands in shock to see that there, as it was demonic essence pill. He thinks holding the pill. If I had cut the ball with enhanced sword aura, then this pill would have exploded due to the heat. His fingers tightened around the pill, his mind racing. Don't create heat, he remembered, echoing the long-gone advice of his father, thanking him as he took the pill. He now sits in the room, concentrating the energy from the pill, taking all the energy into his body without leaving anything behind. His body glowed in purple light. As a sigh of the pros is starting, the energy from all over the room rushed to him, as he finally opens his eyes and stands up after the process. Clench his fist happily. As he succeeded, he could feel strong power from his body, as energy was the thing he lacked, which he finally got. The tablet's glow intensified, revealing the rules of the next trial. Differentiate life and death. Differentiate life and death, protagonist mused, a frown creasing his brow. He stepped forward, the crimson circle pulsing faintly beneath his feet. A pedestal came from beneath him, with different types of plant, and then he saw them. A grid of various plant matter, some verdant, some withered, all silent. A trial that requires me to differentiate herbs from poisonous plants. A wry smile touched his lips. He thought of, I searched everywhere for the ingredients that GWI Ryongja asked for. I know how to differentiate all sorts of herbs and poisonous plants, and this was an easy trial for him. His hand reached for a plant. This is the only thing that's not a poisonous plant, he stated. As another one came after the first one, with different plants this time, he watches them thinking. They want to prevent anyone who got lucky with this trial by guessing, so they want them to go through a second test. As he easily picked correct one again and again, with the pedestal keep coming one after another. As the cycle ends, he asks himself, there aren't any coming up again. Was that the end? As his eyes fell upon the writing of the previous ones, he saw them as they read, some getting tense for becoming a poisonous human, while some complain, some succeeded in their 96th try while some lost hair over eating them, while his father stated, to don't count on luck, as he realizes that he meant to remember everything he ate from first test. The last trial, to survive the illusory life and death trap formation. And you can die in it. A trial where I die upon failure. He saw the reading first, as they read, everyone telling the fight was scary and tough. His father's words just stated, don't rest, the path ahead was treacherous. As he steps on the circle, thinking as his father advised to not rest, to take it in his real life too and live like that, the background starts to change. He looks behind him in shock, as he knew he was going in the trap formation as the last trail, after everything settled. He found himself in middle of a desert, taking note of everything in that place, from wind to the animals moving, as he sits to feel the ground, as everything felt real there. To think there could be something that creates things that are so real. He sensed something as he saw with a side eye. From the swirling mists, figures began to coalesce. Grotesque, decaying warriors, their eyes burning with a phantom light. Although they're illusions, I can really feel their presences. Even their intent to kill me, a smirk gracing his lips. This is truly a good opportunity for me. He unsheathes his sword to fight. He gripped his sword tightly facing the enemies, as they all rushed towards him together. He just stood there, waiting for them to reach him. With sudden burst of energy his eyes concentrated. He dodged an attack from behind his head, dodging a killing blow, but killing the zombie instead piercing his head. Other find this opportunity to attack, as they swing their swords at his head, which he dodges with a leap in air, avoiding all blows as he skid backwards thinks. Since I'm not dealing with humans, circulating his energy from his body and his blade, I can fight all of them without any hesitation, cutting many with a huge blue slash, as he stood there after his attack, thanking the pill from before, but more blades pointed at him comes closer, as he watches them from behind, as he stood in between the whole chaos, while all rushed at him, with a determined glance, as he watched the zombies coming for him from above. He let out a small breath from his lips, surrounded by many swords in between, and nowhere to escape. Suddenly a blue light slashed in the chaos, leaving a mark in the bodies of all the zombies, as they get stopped in place, without able to move, finally start to disassemble from form the blue lines, which were cuts from a sword, as the protagonist stood there cutting all the zombies in one go. Blood splattered the battlefield. As bodies start to drop from above into pieces, protagonist swings his sword to wipe the blood from it, as he watches back in disappointment, thinking that it's over, and it would be a pity. It was this much only, stood there as the smoke settles, but his eyes suddenly fell onto something again, making him happy, leaving a smile on his lips, as many more powerful figure approached him, which had more powerful energy from before.